Good day. Welcome to our 4th edition of our Educational Insights with RGCGISD. I am your host, Adolfo Peña Jr., Superintendent of Schools. Today we will be discussing a topic that greatly affects our students' lives, bullying. Recently, the issues of bullying has grown into a national concern. Bullying isn't just a challenge, it's a growing problem that demands our attention. As educators, parents, community members, we have a shared responsibility to create a safe environment for all of our students. In this episode, we will explore the nature of bullying and discuss the signs that students may exhibit when they're experiencing bullying. We are here to find solutions. Together, we'll explore strategies and actions that can be taken to help students who are victims of bullying, as well as how we can foster a culture of empathy and inclusion within our schools. Together, we can tackle this pressing issue, raise awareness, and work towards a brighter, safer future for our students. So with us today, we have some co-hosts in our podcast. We have from Central Office, Administrator Mr. Julio Aguilla.
Thank you, Mr. Peña, for inviting us here.
From Preparatory for Early College, we have Mr. David Pratt.
Good morning, sir. Pleasure to be here.
From Rio Grande City High School, we have Roxanne Garcia.
Thank you, sir, for having us here.
And from Gruya High School, we have Mr. Abel Laudel.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure being here.
What are some of the signs that a child might be experiencing while being bullied, and how can parents and caregivers recognize these signs?
I'll take that one. There's quite a few things that can change in a person's life when they're going through something like that. With some personal experiences in my past, I could say the first thing that you're going to notice is change in behavior. If you're going to see a child who is going through anything, whether it's something positive or negative, like bullying, you're going to have changes in behavior. Behavior always serves a purpose. And when you notice a change in their behavior, there's something going on. Okay? You know, some of the things that parents might want to look for is isolation, removal of certain things that you know have brought them comfort in their past, you know, things that have changed, you know, looking towards, you know, the future. What is it, you know, they've stopped looking at, you know, their goals have changed. They're kind of giving up on things. A lot of times, you know, bullying leads to many different changes in their lives.
Advice to parents when they see these changes is contact your school counselor. It's very important that we know that the child is going through these changes at home. I know that we go out where we visit the cafeteria, we visit the students during lunch, in the morning, bus stops. So whenever we see this behavior, we start conversation with them, we bring them in, make them feel comfortable so they can come in and talk to us if anything is bothering them. And if parents give us the heads up, of course, we will call the students in. We want to be there to help.
Yeah, and one other thing, yes, the parents are important. The counselors, we're trained. We get trainings on this to look or what to be looking for. But it's also very important. Everybody on campus is important. Teachers are usually there in the front lines, and they are usually the ones that will notice a change in a student, whether it's the grades or something else, attitude, and if the teachers also come forward and let the counselors know, we could take it from there and we could really help out from that point on.
Bottom line, I think it evolves from communication. Yeah. We got to make sure that we keep communicating with the kids, parents communicating with their children, and us as counselors, teachers, friends even can bring stuff like that to it. Communication is key, especially, getting them to talk about things.
I agree.
Very key.
Now, are there any specific trends or patterns that you've observed recently?
No, overall, trends, a lot of stuff's going out on Facebook, on TikTok, on Snapchat. You got social media plays a very big role in the way a child is growing up these days. So it's something that we have to address, not only what's going on in school, but also what they're holding in their hands. That phone has changed a child's life. It's not the same as the way we grew up when we were kids. We took to the playground if we needed to when we were kids, but when we're facing these different types of environments for the kids, it's a big difference. That's probably the most difficult thing to navigate for us as well.
And if I can add something, cyberbullying is through the means of communication, electronic communication devices, laptops, iPads, cell phones, any type of things that is electronic. It can happen outside of school. They bring it up into school. Then it's going to be our problem, deal with it, and and cyberbullying can be several students to one student, student to student, and so on. So we need to, as the district, be on top of that. As counselors, be looking for signs and us helping each other, communication, dialogue, and so on.
Very true, gentlemen. And we know that in today's times, students are always, with technology at their fingertips. This is why sometimes in school districts, just like ours, we set some rules. We're here to educate our children and our students, and many times these devices cause more of a problem than issues. Now, there's a lot of positive things, right? We get to promote everything going on in our district and campuses, and so does the campuses, right? But sometimes, student uses them for other purposes, especially, after hours. But like you say, all that comes into the classroom, into the school, and once it becomes an issue at school, then it does take time to try to resolve those issues. So that leads us to maybe. So what advice do you all have to parents? If they are seeing that there is something starting with some of these electronic devices, what are some of the advice that you have for parents?
I'd say first and foremost, open that line of communication. Start asking. Sit at the dinner table and talk about things. Ask them how their day was. It doesn't happen very often anymore. 9 times out of 10, I have a kid talking to me in the office. They're going to tell me, well, what do you do after your high school? You go home. Where you go? I go to my room. I shut the door. They're isolating themselves. Don't give them that opportunity. Let them have conversations with you as a family. Bring up things that are going on in school on a daily basis. Ask them, what was the best thing about school? Don't just say, hey, how did your day go? But ask them, what was the best thing that happened in school today? What was the worst thing? You'll be surprised what they'll bring out, because they really want to talk about things.
And parents, don't be afraid, especially for the young kids. Look at their devices, see what they are looking and what they're researching. There is a world of information there at their fingertips, but some of the things that are online are really bad. And as a parent, it's our responsibility to make sure we go in there and we make sure that at least we try and limit some of the things that some of our sons and daughters are looking at, because it will affect them. And as far as trends, like you asked earlier, I think all the counselors, we could agree, after the pandemic, everything changed. We were having some crises and stuff like that, but social media does play a very big role in all that.
One important thing for students is, if you are experiencing cyberbullying, don't engage. Report it right away.
Yeah.
This going back and forth, telling each other stuff online, it just makes matters worse. We just need to bring in the kids, talk to them, just don't engage.
Very true.
It creates a bigger problem.
Many times, as principals or counselors and administrators at the campuses, parents come in right away and they say, my son or daughter is being bullied. And right away, parents feel that once they report it for the first time, that's considered bullying. Well, we know that in the Texas Code of Conduct, in our regulations that we follow, there's a different definition, which many parents are not aware, many students are not aware. So, Mr. Oguia, could you tell us, what the definition of bullying is?
Of course, sir. Basically, it can be a significant single act, but it has to be significant. But it's a pattern of acts. And as administrators and as counselors, we investigate, we talk about, we interview kids, we find out the root of the problem. Because if they're engaging each other, so that's not a bullying issue, because they're engaging in inappropriate behavior. So this is showing, and by definition with the Texas Education Code and what we have as per Student Code of Conduct, it is also when somebody exploits imbalance of power towards somebody else, okay? Even engaging in verbal or written expression, verbal expression through what we talked about, phones, electronic devices, and so on. In any school-related activity, it can happen on the outside, but if you bring it to school and you're using one of the computers from school owned by the school, then you're liable. And I just want to talk about a little bit about the consequences of this. Cyberbullying, harassment, bullying, it has a consequence that we place students at the DAEP, at the district alternative education program, and we students will get a consequence of 3 days suspension and up to 40 days in the alternative center. So students, parents, if you're hearing this, please advise students, if they cannot say good things about each other, not to say anything. It's as a word of advice. But it's an infraction. Plus, we also allowed let know the PD or campus PD, because it depends on the severity of the infraction of the bullying, to what extent. But we have to investigate. It's not something right away, like Mr. Peña said. We have to investigate, and then after that we make a conclusion as experts, as counselors, administrators, principals, and assistant principals. But yes, it has repercussions up to 40-day placement at the DAEP.
That's kind of a challenge also, because that takes a child even further out of their environment.
Yes.
And it almost feels like the system that's in place is not necessarily supporting them. I know that we got to go through the consequences. We have to take care of stuff for the kids, but sometimes what they need is a little bit more of that opportunity to talk to one another, a little bit more of an opportunity to communicate, where we can intervene as counselors or, school psychologists, whatnot, to be able to help these kids find ways not only to cope, because we look at both sides. We look at the kid who's being bullied, and then we look at the kid who's doing the bullying. What's going on in their life that makes them feel that they got to say stuff like that? And that's, this situation where they end up changed, it's going to make matters worse. They're going to be bitter from a situation like that sometimes. So it's very important for them to stay in close contact with a counselor and look at what's going on in their life as well, to help them grow, help them move away from types of situations like this.
And as far as discipline, the student also needs to recognize that we all have to recognize that it just doesn't happen in, like, let's say a classroom or in the cafeteria. Anywhere within the school district, like if you're in a playground, if you are at a school-related event, a Friday night football game, bullying can occur and there will be some consequences. If you're in a bus, school transportation, you're still within the school district, and right, there's still some consequences that can occur. Right. And that's also very important for some of these students to realize it's not always just in the classroom where it's happening.
Mm-hmm. And we have some examples, like committing extortion, getting money from somebody else for doing something for you, and so on, making it ethical, racial, religious alerts. Those are examples, so that way students and parents know we cannot be doing that, because then we're gonna have to. There's gonna be consequence, but at the same time we're gonna support them with counseling as well. But there's several things: verbal abuse, derogative, offensive remarks, damaging properties from each other. These are examples that students need to know, parents need to know. Encourage students to commit suicide, telling them, hey, I hope you kill or whatever yourself. We don't do that. We need to understand. That's why we're trying to do this. Mr. Peña is bringing this to a table, because we need to be informed as district, as community, as everybody, so that way we make better decisions and our students make better decisions instead of going and suffer consequences. They have to think twice instead of saying something bad about each other.
Mr. Gia, if parents want more information on this, where can they find the school code of conduct, and what page would that be found?
Yes, they can find it. We have it at our website and school website at my RGCGISD.org. And also, if they request one in print, and we can also offer it, that you need to request it to the principals for the the student is at the regular campus. They can do that, and at the code of conduct, we can find it at page 8 on the student code of conduct, and if not, as soon as you go into the the code of conduct, you You just type bullying and it goes right to the page that you need to see. And it's defined and it gives you examples, some of the examples that I went over.
Very good, sir. Thank you. Could we describe the role of a school counselor in preventing and addressing bullying within a school setting?
First and foremost, making sure you stay in contact with your kids. The role of a counselor is going to be a supportive one. A lot of the times, a student who's being bullied doesn't feel like they have anybody to talk to or anybody to reach out to. You know, they feel like they're trapped in a tough situation. So having that communication with the kids, being out there, being involved, being in touch with them helps them to start that conversation. You know, simple. First and foremost, you have to make sure that you're out there with them. You know, I know that we've been making sure that the kids know who we are. We're out there morning, noon, and night talking to the kids, trying to make sure that they know that they have somebody to come talk to. And then when you're sitting with them, let them know what the processes you're going to go through is. Sometimes this is going to go further than the counselor's office. Sometimes this is going to have to go out and be dealt with administration. So you're going to have to tell the story a second time. Maybe, you know, there's a lot of things where we feel that the kid's in danger. We've got to take that next step and help them, you know, to solve a problem.
As counselors, we're here to provide a safe place, a safe environment. Our office is a safe place where they could go and talk to us about anything. We're here to advocate. If there's anything that needs to be like seriously addressed, we go to our administrators, we seek help where we need it, and we give all the resources, all the information. But we're their biggest advocates.
Yeah, I believe the counseling department is probably the first places that anybody might think about, especially when we're dealing with bullying. But you all are correct. We do work very closely with administration, sometimes PD. It just depends. We just need the students to understand that they need to be able to let us know sometimes what exactly is going on, and we take it from there. We go from there and we do what is we always do what we think is best for our student, and that's our number one priority.
Thank you. Very good, answers and suggestions for our students. So we hope that, our parents and our students do take advantage of the counseling that we do offer at the campuses. That's one of the best solutions, right, that we have for them. So thank you all for the wonderful job that you all do every single day. It's not easy, especially after the pandemic. It's been very challenging for everyone, but we thank you for everything that you all do on a daily basis. It doesn't go unnoticed.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
So to conclude, let's go ahead and discuss what are some of the counseling strategies or coping therapy options available for children who have been victims of bullying in the past and can expect, that from some of these sessions.
A lot of the times, the individual counseling that we have for the kid is available right away. But sometimes when we sit down and put the kids together in a small group, we'll find that they are going through the same type of situation. They're going through the same feelings and emotions, and it helps them to be able to build a little camaraderie. It helps them to build a little bit of a way to vent, giving them an opportunity. And that's just within the school. We can do individual, we can do group counseling. Sometimes we can reach out into the community as well, where there's youth groups that are available for the students. And there's also other, things that we have in the community that, we have community counseling. They can see others outside, depending on what their needs are.
Normally when we get a student and they start kind of telling us what's going on, and we can tell right away if it's maybe something dealing with bullying, we start asking, and sometimes the students are going to be a little bit more closed, and they're not going to want to answer right away. And I know that we discussed this earlier also. Sometimes the students, they don't want to give the names of who is bullying them. But again, it takes a lot of guts just for them to show up and to start telling us. And it has nothing to do with snitching or anything like that, but we need to get all the information. And once we do, then the counselors, we go and like we mentioned earlier, it isn't just the person that's being bullied, but it's also the person doing the bullying. And so as counseling, or as counselors, we need to make sure that we focus on both and try and take care of the problem at that point.
A lot of it's about getting them to talk, and sometimes they're reluctant. You can tell there's changes going on in their life, and I'll have kids that come in, and they're just not sure where they're going to begin. I tell them, draw me a picture. How do you feel? Give me, and I'll give them it sounds simple, but even in the high school level, coloring book, they'll pick a picture. Tell me something that describes you. You can color it while we're talking. And just having that little bit of a distraction helps them to come forward. It gets a little bit easier for them. Or playing music. Those are a couple of things that I've had a kid open up a little bit easier because of the environment. I got Play-Doh in my office. They'll grab it and start messing with it, and then sooner or later, out comes it's like a flood. Here it comes. So.
And on the elementary, students love the fidget toys and the different types of kinesthetic type of tools. But yes, a lot of these techniques and strategies do work. So we want to thank you all for joining us today. Any last comment?
Like Mr. Laurel mentioned, that the students, when they come in, they're hesitant about letting us know who it is that's bothering them, bullying them. We do encourage students to please give us names so we can help them, so we can solve the problem. I always tell them, this might be happening to other students. This person might be bullying other students, and I'm glad that you have the courage to come in here and talk about it, but so we can help you, you need to tell us who it is. You are the voice for many other kids that might not even have the courage to come in here to report the bully. So just giving us names, we can address the problem.
I also can add to that. We'd like for students to come forward and help us out if they're seeing any type of bullying, even though it's not directed to them. But if they're seeing that, maybe we can start an investigation because a lot of the times, like you counselors are saying, they don't come and they don't open up that easily. But other people might have been seeing this, and we encourage those students to come by to our counselors or to administration to let us know.
And the kids are pretty good about that. They, as soon as they see something like that, they do come and report it.
Okay, that's good.
A lot of the times we got to make sure that we're going out there and teaching these kids these coping skills, these strategies. And sometimes we can do it in a mass group. Sometimes we do that in classroom presentations. As long as we keep giving them opportunities, sooner or later they're going to get that desire to come forward and talk. And it might be something that's been going on for years. And we're just doing a simple classroom presentation, and it's just going to open up the floodgates. That communication has to be there.
Very good. Well, thank you. This concludes our episode number 4. On behalf of our school board of trustees and our central office administration, we want to thank each and every one of you for being here this morning and for everything that you do at the campus level. A message out to the community, to our students, parents, we want you to know that we want you to be safe here with Rio Grande City GCGISD, and our goal is to try to provide the best educational opportunities for all of our students and all of our parents and community here in our district. So, thank all of you for being here this morning.
Thank you, sir.
And parents, students, please reach out to your counselors. They are here for you. We all are here for you. So may you have a great school year this year, and let's go and be the best student that we can be. Thank you.